Almost there, but just almost. Hello my brothers and sisters, my name is Daidarius and welcome to the review of Wonder Woman! So Wonder Woman stars Gal Gadot and is DC's latest throw at getting just a decent movie, and to some extent they actually succeed. So the movie starts out that we're on this island called Themyscira, where Wonder Woman and all the Amazons are living, and it's an island apparently given to them by Zeus, which shields them for not only the worlds of man and today's age woman, but also some bad entity. And on this island you clearly get a view of how the Amazons train and how they view life, and for some reason the queen, which is Wonder Woman's or Elena's mother, don't want her daughter to train, and you don't know why, and that's some of the movie's mystery. And let me just say, the way they fight and train, holy shit balls, man. They can do some awesome tricks, man, like sliding along the ground and just jump I don't know how many meters into the air and fire arrows from most impossible angles, and it's actually quite entertaining to see. The only I'm gonna save it for the gripes. Anyway, so you watch Wonder Woman grow up and training and becoming basically the best Amazon warrior on the island. And by that time we have our first man arriving, called Steve, played by Chris Pine, who crash lands on the island, and Wonder Woman then saves him, and they get attacked by these German soldiers. And after the attack they have some hearing to find out what his mission is, and we find out that he is a spy from England and he needs to get back there because he has vital information. And Diana, have I been saying Elena? My God, I don't know my DC. Diana wants to help him come back because she thinks, no, she doesn't think, she believes that she can win this war. She can end it. And this kicks off our movie. Now, what I liked about this movie, and I believe what saved this before becoming another bad DC movie, is that it is isolated in this time period, so they can actually do pretty much what they want without considering we need to tie back to the other movies, which, for example, Suicide Squad just did left and right for no reason, and it didn't work. So they have some free room to experiment with this character and try to take it in some direction that we haven't seen it yet. But then again, we've only had one movie with Wonder Woman, so that's not saying much. Anyway, one of the best things they experimented with was the humor. Most of the humor lies on Chris Pine's character because he's Diana's gateway into this new world he doesn't know anything about, and she has her beliefs and what she knows from Themyscira. And yes, they're not ignorant, even though that island only populated by women. They know how to have sex, and I know you're just gonna go, ooh, girl on girl action. No, maybe I guess somehow, but no, they not just that. They know the whole thing about involving a man and such. And you know how to have a board meeting and all the things you just wouldn't think that she would know. She knows. With her beliefs and knowledge colliding with what Steve knows, it just creates some extremely hilarious scenes. It had me laughing quite a few times. The other thing that I liked is that you actually kind of identify with Wonder Woman. Not as much as a lot of people are saying that they are, and it's not as much as it could have been. But again, it is a step in the right direction for DC, because Wonder Woman, even though that she has these beliefs and it sometimes collides with the real world, and we ourselves maybe observe it and consider it to be naive, there are some empowerment behind it. I'm gonna get to that in the end of the review. The other thing I really liked was some of the action scenes. I know you might go, some? What's wrong with the others? Well, there are not that many in here, and that's not a problem at all because it leaves room for development of the characters. But there are two things that just annoyed the absolute shit out of me in this movie, considering the action scenes. The first off is the overuse of slow motion. Every time, especially on Themyscira, when the Amazons and the Germans fought, every time an Amazon would do a flip or throw a thing or do anything cool, they just had to slow this whole scene down in best 300 style, so you could really take in all the beautiful action. This girl just do a double backflip and then fires 3 arrows to kill 3 dudes at the same time, and then throw a knife in a 4th dude or something like that. And yes, that is impressive, but it is more impressive to watch when they're doing it in real time. Save the slow motion for the epicness. For example, when you watch a kung fu movie, and we know sometimes you need to watch a kung fu movie, it's just that day. Do you think it is more impressive when you see everything slowed down and you just see all the blows? Or is it more impressive when they do it in full speed and you have a hard time keeping up with all the movements, but you get a clear picture of what is going on? For me personally, it is more impressive to see how freaking fast the people can move and do this shittiness they're doing, instead of doing it all in slow motion. That is what worked at The Matrix, for example. They did use some slow motion. They are famous for it, Neo dodging the bullets, him and Agent Smith, firing the guns at each other in the air, and of course Morpheus running down the hallway where they're firing the guns. It worked at those times because you pretty much couldn't do that in real time and get a good glimpse of how not just epic the scene was, but also what the fuck is going on here, because we are working with something that is pretty fast like bullets. But on the other times, they went with normal speed, choreographed, fights, and that it works because you go, holy shit, they're freaking fast. They do it here in this movie, but not as much as I would love to. But other than those things, the fight scenes, the fight choreography are pretty freaking sweet. So thumbs up for that. The other thing that bothered me is a lot of times when Diana picks a heavy object up, the weight just feel off. She's maybe picking up a tank and she's gonna throw it, and you just go, ugh. And there's not that much strength put into her acting. So, and then for some reason the tank still flies a fair bit, and it just doesn't seem right. And it was always when she picked up something heavy and needed to interact with it, it didn't do that great a job. I think they did it better in Man of Steel. Now, the other thing that I liked about this movie is it is more light, yes, but that's not the best point. It's not that it is light. Yeah, it's becoming more Marvel-like. No. We don't want that. We have Marvel. Thank God for that. But we want something different for DC, so, it's just not copy-pasted. What Wonder Woman did excellently was handling the grim tone wonderfully. And that's something I missed, especially in Batman v Superman. And they went for this grim tone, but they just didn't know how to use it. And here, it is during World War I. It's one of the most horrific wars we have had. And I know there's been other horrific wars, but considering the situation, though, not only the soldiers were put in, they couldn't advance even an inch for a year. You also see all these citizens, everyday people, just caught in this horrific event taking place throughout the world, nowhere to run, and just desperately trying to survive and, make sure that their kids are not scarred for life. And they actually managed to tackle that prospect pretty well, but again, not as good as I wanted to. But again, they did a good job. Now, the things that have bothered me, let's just go for the gripes. And I have a funny feeling, that some of you may go, well, a lot of the times in your reviews, you only talk about the gripes, not much about what you liked about the movie. And that is true, but you have to consider then, and even though I talk a lot about the gripes, I still, in some of the movies, I still give them a great rating at the end if they deserve it. Just because I want to focus on the bad things so you know what to prepare yourself for. Then again, I will mention the good things, like here, some of the battles and how they handled the tone in the movie. But more of that later. But the gripes, let's just get them out of the way because they are there. Man, they are there. Ugh. I always stated that there's a slow-mo and there's the handling of heavy objects whenever Diana picks them up. Another thing I didn't like that much is that Diana suddenly goes from, normal Amazon to very strong Amazon. And what I mean by that is she goes from that's even a funny thing. You don't get a feeling how strong the Amazons is. You get a feeling how good they are at fighting, but not how strong they are. And they seem quite strong, but you don't know. You have absolutely no idea. But she goes from around that to freaking just a powerhouse in a matter of a few scenes. I would love the more development on that point. That's not a huge deal. It's just something I kind of remembered here. But here's the point I want to get to. The thing that bothered me almost the most, but not really. There's another thing that bothered me more. But the second place is the CGI. And yes, a lot of it is impressive. I believe that a lot of the background drops are CGI. If I know DC, which I kind of think I do at this point, they look quite good. There's a lot of times where you can't really tell how much of it is CGI, and I don't know why. But when you get to the freaking final fight, there is a thing that they need to do. Diana needs to do this thing, and Steve and his men need to do this thing. And we have our final fight. And the CGI in this scene is just bad. Now I know if you put that in Game of Thrones, for example, you will go, that looks actually quite well. Yes, it's a freaking TV series. It's amazing if they could get that graphic out of it. Or if it was a movie with a budget of, let's say, $50 million or something, then it will be impressive. But you have this AAA title just fucking it up at the end with the CGI, and it aggravates me because we have already seen during the movie how good they can handle it. And the thing that's, it was the same thing with Batman v Superman. It is that, and also, I know I get sidetracked all the time, and also what I can see in the trailer of Justice League. And I know Justice League hasn't come out yet, so give it time. They're not done with it. It's fine. But what I could see in the trailer, at least, of Justice League, and then what happened in Batman v Superman, and then the last third act here, is that for some reason, when it comes to night hours, whoever does the CGI for Wonder Woman, and I pray to, please don't be ILM, but they don't know how to handle lightning. Or not lightning. Lighting. Switch the word up here. The lighting. They don't know. And that's what makes it look fake. You can just see it is computer generated. If you want to see how to make great lighting, look at the Transformers movies. And I know some of you may not like them, and it's fine. But you have to admit, at least, when you see a Transformer up against the buildings around it, it looks pretty real. It actually does, because the lighting is done right. But here, not as much. And it just... Again, if it was, a different movie, then it wouldn't bother me as much. But since it's DC and they're throwing everything they have at these projects, then I would expect more from them. The final fight, it is utter shit. I will give DC this. In the last 3 movies, where I've only really liked the first one, Man of Steel, they have actually managed to create an actual boss fight, not just one that's over in a few, punches, like in Iron Man 2. Disappointing boss fight, because it was over in like under a minute. No, they can actually create an interesting boss fight, and it's something that I think Marvel in general has lacked. Now, they have been better at it this following years, but I would like to see something that put this villain on a pedestal, and it just goes, this fucker is so intimidating that he could not just take on, but take out the entire hero team, because that's what this needs to be. Not just this villain and this villain's subordinates. No. The villain himself needs to be powerful enough to fuck things up for the heroes. And that's it. And Marvel has not been that good at it for time to time, but again, they're gonna be sidetracked. But the boss fight here is just... it's not entertaining at all. And I won't say what's happening because that is spoiler. But trust me, I will compare it to when, if you have seen Attack of the Clones, the Star Wars movie, you see Yoda, you see Count Dooku, they are throwing things at each other. It's something like that. It's not that entertaining. It gets old pretty quick. And Wonder Woman is an Amazon. She fights with her fists and her feet. She just kicks ass, and this throwing competition is just... it doesn't suit her. That, and the fact that at some point, I don't know if it was because she blocked a lightning, sky lightning. She blocked that, and it just got stuck in her bracelets, and then she released it afterwards. Or it's just, she blocked it, and suddenly she knew how to control lightning. And I don't know how it will stay there, but somehow she managed to fire it off, and you have no explanation on why. And you start wondering, a lot of the things you're doing now, how come you didn't do that in Batman v Superman, fighting Doomsday? But then again, a lot of those gripes are in the third act at the midway to the end of the third act. Another thing that was not that well done was the side characters, especially Steve's side characters. He has a misfits of 2 or 3 soldiers, and they are practically not used. They're actually not used at all. You see them in one fight where they do absolute shit, nothing, and then you see them in another fight when you don't really get a resolution for them. They're just there to fill out space, and I thought it was a missed opportunity because you had a chance for not only Steve but also these characters to bond with Diana, with Wonder Woman, to try and explain to her how the world actually works and things are not black and white, which she firmly believe it is. And yeah, there are some other gripes too, but it's gonna become nitpicking at this point. And another thing I would love is what they did spend more time, as I said before, developing Diana and make you really root for her. You don't. I don't want to say root for her, but you do cheer on her. I don't know which words to choose here, but you just go, yeah, okay, I'm gonna be with you. Yeah, go, power. But yeah, I wanted you to cheer for her with all your heart, and you just don't do it because they don't take their time for those scenes. They are there, but they're not there enough. So here I'm gonna get to what I told about earlier, the start and the end, especially the end. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything. The pace and the world building in the beginning, especially on the Amazons themselves, was done a bit sloppy. I would have loved if they have focused more on Themyscira, since that is her home world. This is where Wonder Woman comes from. This is the world she knows. Used a bit more time, expanding and exploring this world and get to know it, instead of just, here's some woman that fights to train, here's some backstory, here comes Chris Pine, good luck, because that's kind of what it is. And I thought it was a missed opportunity. Actually, you could have spent almost half of the movie on Themyscira, since that there was these Germans who found the island. Maybe you could have done something with that, I don't know. But that could have been done better. And then the ending, the pace there is also not that great. And here's what I will say though. I thought that I would give this movie a lower ranking that I'm actually gonna give it, but I changed my mind from one video here on YouTube. It's by the guys at How Should Have Ended, Daniel Baxter, I believe. Sorry if I got your name wrong, but yeah, Daniel over there. He made a review of Wonder Woman here recently. He says some things that I agree with, something I don't, which is fine. But he likes the movie a lot more than I did. He praises to the skies. It's just the ascending of DC gods, yay! which I think is a bit much. It is a fine movie, but it's not a great movie. We get to that. He says something in the end of his review, and just so you know, it's this in the spoiler section he says it, but it's not a spoiler. He says that in the world of Wonder Woman here, where they have these World War One, with all this terror, all this bloodshed and killing, and innocent people not only being murdered but also get caught in the crossfire, there are a lot of desperation, there's a lot of, lost hope. And here comes this figure, this heroine, who comes in and tries to save the day. Chris Pine even says for him he needs to do something, and Diana says, I can do it. But he says, no, I can save today, but you can save tomorrow. And there's a whole speech around that part, and it's actually quite good. And then Daniel goes on to say it kind of reflects how our society is today. We have a lot of wars around, especially in Africa and in the Middle East, and there's a lot of attacks, and the world seems more cruel. It has always been this, but it gets more media coverage, so it seems like the world has become more cruel. And for the everyday person, you want Wonder Woman, or just a hero in general, to be real, to come in and save the day and just say, here's the solution, I'm gonna fix it, and don't worry, everything will be all right. And I'm paraphrasing a lot, but that's he goes on for something like that we want heroes to be real, and in the end, isn't that what a superhero movie should do? Make you want that person to be real. And I actually found that message quite powerful, actually. And again, go watch his, I will leave a link in the description to the video. Watch on your own concern. Again, there are spoilers in it. But it's at the end of the video, I believe, the last minute he goes into that, and it's actually quite good. But he goes on with, we want heroes to be real. And isn't that a beautiful thing? And I kind of agree with him. Of course, that is something that the movies should do, especially superhero movies, that it should make you want them to be real so they can come and save the world. But here's the thing. We have had this year, I have even reviewed it, a superhero movie that showed us that not always is the best superhero portrayed as a superhero, this meta-human who can just find the answer for whatever problem you're having. No, often it is a person, a normal person, that just, they don't want anything to do with this extreme pressure of saving the world, but in the end, they have to, because only they are capable of doing it. And of course, I'm talking about Logan. And what Logan showed me is that you can make a movie with a great plot, characters, etc., and just throw in a superhero at it. And it just makes me want more for my superhero movies. And do I want this for Wonder Woman? No, not really, because that's not the kind of movie it is. But when you think about that, what you want superheroes to be real, and that's why you should praise Wonder Woman, I just find it kind of flat that we want to praise this big woman figure because it's a woman apparently, then we need to praise it. And that's not the point. The point is the character itself. When I take what he said, apply it to Wonder Woman and her beliefs, because she just believes she can do this. The solution is this, and it's all about faith, not religion, but just faith. If you've seen Serenity, you know what I'm talking about. But when you apply to that, I actually think it makes more sense that not we want Wonder Woman to be real, but Wonder Woman wants herself to be Wonder Woman. I don't know if it makes sense, but she wants that she knows the answer. I'm pretty sure I'm just blabbering around here. I'm just making all you go, the fuck are you talking about, man? I have no idea. Oh my god. Let's get to the rating. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, you have a movie where you have a developed character, main character, where you are pretty sure what her core value is, or values, that more than one, is. You have a pretty good defined side character in Chris Pine, and the rest of the cast doesn't really matter at all, because they're not developed at all. They're just there to fill its space. And the dynamic between the two characters are engaging. It is funny. There are some scenes where you root for her, and actually just one scene where you root for her, and the rest of them you just don't care that much because they didn't take the time, to make your connection with the person. There is a fine story. It's simple, and actually serves to the movie's advantage. There are some great fight scenes, there are some bad fight scenes, there are some great CGI, there are some bad CGI, but Wonder Woman is actually a likable superhero, which is great. So, with that in mind, with the gripes and all the good things, I would say that Wonder Woman is worth watching in cinema and is entertainment guaranteed. So, Wonder Woman, do you think that it is the savior of DC and the best that has ever been in DC for the past few years? Or do you like the other ones better? Why? Why not? Comment below and let me read your thoughts. And as always, until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome. Bye! No, that's the A-Team.